Okay, to win a content marketing award is an amazing feeling because you realize it's a friggin' big deal. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like it's the Academy Awards of content marketing.
This is the Content Marketing Awards, where we recognize some of the greatest work that's being done in our beloved practice.
To be recognized among this group of content professionals who have been really actively elevating our industry means a lot to us. I mean, we really value the judging panels.
I think it makes it a much more elite award to win, that you have experts in the field judging your work and comparing it against the others.
I think there are a few reasons we enter the awards. One, I think it's to express to the clients that the work is really good.
I just think it's really validating. I think it's really culturally additive. I think it helps us in the recruitment, in the retention, in the engagement of our employees. And then again, it's an opportunity for us to showcase their work, both in our institution and then beyond.
It's a very diverse group of contenders, and so you get to see what everyone else is doing in their own spheres, and that helps us up our game.
Magnitude of these awards, I mean, the competition is huge.
It means a lot to get the validation from an organization like the Content Marketing Institute.
It's a real award that we place a lot of value on.
This is one you want to win.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again. This is Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. We're so happy you're joining us this afternoon for our second episode of Live with CMI. And I'm so excited to once again be joined by my co-host and colleague, JK. Hey, JK, how are you today? Are you ready?
I am ready. Loving first day of spring here in lovely Cleveland, Ohio, where it's snowing just a little bit, but that's par for the course for our neck of the woods. But I'm really excited about this topic today.
Yes, and we, if you missed it last month, we had a super awesome kickoff to our new live stream here. We tackled the topic of AI, so if you happen to miss that and want to see it, we will drop a link into the comments for you. But of course, you'll watch that after you watch this live stream right now today. But today we are going to be chatting about SEO and search. Things are changing, folks. It's hard out there for content marketers to attract the right traffic organically. With search engine optimization practices evolving, content competition coming from everywhere, AI, social, it's all too easy to get just a little confused. But one thing is for sure, with all of this going on, it's a good time to revisit your SEO strategy. So today we are going to have some helpful tips and advice to do just that, right, JK?
We are, coming up. So here's what we have coming up. We've got to look at AI, specifically AI content farms, and how they're causing real harm to search results. We're going to have details on the big changes coming from Google, as well as how TikTok and ChatGPT could change the game and the search game altogether. So that's all coming up today on the show, and we have two wonderful guests to walk us through the whole thing.
Yes, but before we get to all that, we want you to know that this live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. And if for some reason you don't know what we do, we're the leading training and education organization for, you guessed it, all things content marketing. So you can head over to contentmarketinginstitute.com to learn more. So as you join us today, as we always say, please give us a virtual wave, say hello, let us know where you're joining us from. We really want to hear from all of you. It makes for a more engaging live stream. So feel free to drop comments or questions into the comment section there as we go along, and we will try to get to them as best we can. And JK, let's get the ball rolling with the question of the day.
All right, folks, here it is. Big question. How are you struggling or succeeding with SEO search results these days? I mean, what's going on? We're going to talk, but we would love to hear from you. Pop us a comment. Let us know what you're dealing with, all the highs and lows, because there's a lot going on.
Yes, for sure. And so there's so many Uh-Ohs happening when it comes to SEO and search. And one of the very controversial things, which I shouldn't have been surprised about, but was I just heard about it, these SEO heists using generative AI, right, JK?
Yes, this is crazy. So recently, this guy named Jake Ward, I believe, he was a little known SEO agency founder, and he went on Twitter X and bragged about how used AI to pull off a SEO heist that stole basically 3.61 million in total traffic from a competitor. And Amanda, I think you have a picture of the tweet. After he bragged about it on social media, it looks like Google took notice and punished them, but it's alarming to say the least. I mean, to just kind of mimic your competitor's site and steal that much traffic, it's almost scary, to think that could happen in such a small, short of time period of time.
Right. And how long it took Google to notice it too.
Yes, exactly.
So many questions here. And here at CMI, we recently tackled all this SEO disruption in our latest edition of CCO, Chief Content Officer Digital Magazine. So if you're not subscribed, we'll drop a link for you to subscribe as well. So we chatted with some SEO experts on the biggest Uh-Ohs, as we like to call them, coming in search, and how marketers can be prepared for them. And one of those experts is actually joining us today. Let's bring him on here. Mike King. He is the founder and CEO of iPullRank. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, JK.
All right. Well, listen, Mike, let's kick this off and let's talk about SEO heist a little bit. So obviously these heists are a huge concern. But it seems Google has taken notice and just recently announced a major search quality update. And it's rolling it out to deal with these spammy sites and other, these other concerns. Tell us about this update. What is such a big deal? What does it mean for our rankings, and how do marketers like us prepare for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, Google rolled out two big things. One, a new core update, which just means fundamentally how they're ranking things and how their rank systems are working has changed. And then there's also another component to it, which is their spam update. So they have also updated their spam policy, specifically around what is called scaled content abuse, domain abuse, and then also site reputation abuse. So that SEO heist that you talked about falls under that scaled content abuse issue, because that wasn't the only site doing that. There's a number of sites out there who were using generative AI to really scale their approaches. And historically, or at least in the last couple of years, Google hasn't been great at identifying that, because it's really hard to do, right? Because we all know large language models replicate how we write. So it's difficult to reliably detect that is what was used in these processes. They've got to use a variety of additional signals to determine that. And so the domain abuse component is where people would buy domains that had expired and then put new content on those sites, but capitalize on their link profiles to quickly rank. And there was an article, I think it was in The Verge or one of those different online publications recently, where they had spoken to someone who their whole approach was buying publications that had expired or they lost their domains, and then putting new content that had nothing to do with what the publication was known for, and then quickly getting the rankings and traffic that way. And then the other component of that was what they're calling site reputation abuse. Same sort of idea, where you're capitalizing on the authority that a site has, but a lot of times these publications will allow a third party to host their content on a subdomain or something like that. And so Google is starting to go after that as a tactic as well. And, one thing I like to really clarify about Google's guidelines is that Google itself, like the actual software, is not good enough to determine all these things that are in the guidelines. And so they're kind of aspirational. And what Google does, they make a big play like this, like they make a big update. They take a site like the SEO heist site and make an example of it, so people are too scared to try these things moving forward.
Interesting. So it's
yeah,
like
so
a
it's
scare tactic.
yeah, it's a little bit more showy than actual, because just a very quick follow-up question. Like how long, like case in point, like we talked about this heist, and maybe you do or don't know, but like how long would it take Google to realize something's going on, or like how long with all of these updates you think, oh, this is just mimicking another site? Like what's the turn time like before the other site gets notified?
So that's the thing. When you say mimicking, what was actually done there is they took the sitemap for the site that they were targeting, and they said, here's all the topics that these pages are talking about. Okay, ChatGPT, write me pages about the same thing. And there may be components to those pages that they were like, okay, let's make sure we answer these questions, but it wasn't a direct copy of the website. And so that's difficult to detect. It's not like a duplicate content situation where it's like, hey, this page is exactly the same. We can't rank this page because there's already a page about this. So it's a difficult thing for Google to determine. And they've got to use a variety of other signals to determine whether or not this site is worth ranking or even worth indexing to begin with. And so it's not as simple as someone looking at both sites and being like, hey, they're about the same thing. There's plenty of sites out there that are also about the same thing. What makes this one inherently bad? There's got to be other signals that they look at to determine that.
Gotcha.
Great. So if you're just joining us, we're talking to Mike King from iPullRank. And I'm looking off the screen here at comments on LinkedIn because for some reason it's not showing up on my screen here. So thank you all for joining us from Botswana. Nicodemus says, I'm looking forward to learning as much as possible from this event. We have people from Wisconsin, Bristol, UK, Cleveland, Cedar Rapids. So yes, if you have a question as we go along for Mike, drop it in the comments. I will try to get to them over here as I look at the screen here. So Mike, there's something else really big coming from Google that some say could be the biggest shakeup in their 25-year history. It's the search generative experience, which uses AI tech to provide searchers with these little detailed snapshots at the top of the search engine results page. So basically it's designed for a zero-click experience, but it's a little worrisome to marketers, right? So there is some expectation that their traffic is going to take a hit. So can you kind of tell us, like, what exactly is SGE? How does it work? And how can marketers prepare for this when Google finally rolls it out for everybody?
Yeah, you've come to the right place because we've been digging into SGE for almost a year now, and really digging into how it works technically. In fact, what I did before SGE was actually released is I recreated it because I wanted to know how it worked. So in answer to your question, one, SGE is this AI snapshot that goes basically in the same place where like a featured snippet or a one box answer would go in Google, except it is far more robust, right? Like they are showing you an answer to your query, but they're also showing you citations from where they got those answers. And sometimes there's a carousel to the right. Sometimes there are follow-up questions below it as well. So it's very much a experience where they are summarizing the results in a certain way and then giving you that directly in the SERP so you don't have to go any further. Now, the way it works, it's built on this concept, which is called retrieval augmented generation. And what that means is you're basically combining a search engine with a large language model. So what happens is you get these what are called chunks, or like passages from the different pages that are most relevant to the query. And then you use that as part of the prompt for the large language model to then give the response. And so the passages that are used are then used as the citations in that answer as well. Now, as far as the impact, one of the things that we've been doing is, collecting a bunch of data on different queries. We did a study where we did 91,000 keywords, and we did a bunch of analysis to see like, okay, what result is showing up the most and so on. One thing that's really an opportunity for people that don't rank on page one is that it's not always page one's rankings that are used in the AI snapshot. So to some degree, you can skip the line by having the most relevant passage on your page for that query because it then gets used in the AI snapshot. And then there's also a link directly to your page, even if you don't rank on the first page. However, with all the data that we've collected, we've also modeled out what the impact can likely be. And for some sites, we've seen it be anywhere from like 10% to as high as like, 80% of traffic loss that may come from this. And in fact, when it first rolls out, it may be even worse because it's going to be such a novelty to users. And they're going to be like, oh, what's this thing? They click and they wait for it. And then they're like, oh, wow, there's going to be a lot of disruption to the search engine results page at that time. But what we don't know is like when people get used to it, or they're like, hey, I don't love these responses, because I've never seen an SGE response where I was like, oh, wow, this is better than going and looking at a page. And like I said, I've looked at 91,000 of them. But nevertheless, there's going to be some disruption. We just don't know how big it's going to be, but there's been projections that have been all up and down the scale.
Wow. That's, I guess that's helpful for people who are on page 2. They're like, hey, maybe we can rank. Yeah. It's just interesting to think about how we're all going to kind of adapt to that and how our searches are going to change.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Our searches are going to change significantly because with SGE, Google can understand a longer query, right? Like I think we all use Google like we're, speaking 1984 Newspeak or whatever. And instead, it can understand like full sentences. And so what we consider long tail queries are going to have a lot more searches to them. And what we consider head terms are likely going to get less searches over time. So what we tell our clients to do strategically, because we build out what we call these threat reports, where, we perform searches for all the keywords that are driving most of the traffic for the site. And then we determine, is it triggering an AI snapshot? Where do they rank? Like those sorts of things. And then we model out how much traffic they might lose. So then what we know is like, okay, are these keywords that we want to try to appear in the AI snapshot for? Or do we want to focus more on keywords that we don't rank as well for that don't have an AI snapshot? So the ultimate goal here is just to be more strategic about it and figure out where the opportunities are to maintain your traffic.
Right. And there's a few other SEO Uh-Ohs that we are that are changing search, right, JK?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, the other big one that we're talking about affect the Uh-Ohs of an SEO is social media. More and more people are circumventing and going around Google altogether and using TikTok or even YouTube to search. Traditional SEO tactics don't work there. So how can marketers take advantage of the shift?
Well, yes and no. A lot of the SEO tactics do work in those channels, and YouTube has long been the second biggest search engine. So, a lot of SEOs have that nailed down. But to your bigger point, the way people are meeting their information needs is changing. And we're getting more into a space where, like back in the day when there was multiple search engines, like your Alta Vistas and your Lycoses and things like that, and you had to account for a variety of different search engines. This isn't all that different. It's more about how do we make sure as a brand that we are there in all these different channels. So if I want to rank in TikTok for a given set of keywords, it's the same thing. Like TikTok has a keyword research platform where you can identify those keywords and then start to work them into your hashtags and things of that nature that you can leverage for TikTok. Or if we're talking about YouTube, there are keyword research tools for YouTube. So you can think about those in your descriptions and your tags and so on within the YouTube videos. But those two channels are more driven by user signals. So it's more about, what is the watch time? How many people are thumbs upping it and things like that. And so what it comes down to is a lot of people are looking to game those signals. But the best thing to do, or the more above board way to do it, is to get more visibility on that content, whether that's, using the advertising side of those platforms to get more people in front of them, or embedding that content into different high traffic sites as part of the content that you're creating for your content marketing efforts. Those are all good ways to make sure that you're getting more visibility in those channels. But the ultimate thing that you got to think about is, what is the interplay of those channels for your actual audience? And so it really comes back to that audience research, figuring out what their behaviors are and being where those people actually are.
Yeah, and I guess all this goes back to this question here, which is, I was reading an article from Search Engine Journal about, what should Google rank in search when all the content sucks, right? So the author argues that content creators who are complaining about Google ignoring their articles just can't admit that their content babies are ugly, as the author puts it. But, if Google, its algorithm is preferring content from less reputable sources, whether it's lower domain authority or financial interest in advocating a solution, I mean, when that happens, what can a content team do to get their content noticed or preferred by Google?
So I have two thoughts about this. One, a lot of what we think about when we think about content is a qualitative thing, but for Google, relevance is a quantitative thing, right? What they do is they just convert your writing into math, and then they plot it into multidimensional space, and they say, is it relevant to the query that the person used, right? So there's that aspect of it that you've got to continue to account for. Like, are you using the keywords? Are you using the entities? Are you answering the questions? But really, what we all want is more original information that's well written, that communicates a point. And I think a lot of that gets lost in content marketing because it's so much about like, oh, what are the keywords? What are the questions that everyone is answering? So the way that you get around this and the way that Google accounts for this is a concept called information gain. And what information gain basically means is, let's say I've got 10 documents about the same subject. Well, which of those documents is saying something net new, but also saying some of those things that everyone else is saying? Let's give a boost to the one that's saying the net new stuff. And so what people need to do more of is figuring out how can they have an original viewpoint? How can they have a new way to think about these things, because Google is actively looking to boost that. But we've all just been kind of trapped in this idea of like, what are the keywords? What are the questions? What are the things that the tool tells me to say? You need to get back to being an actual human being that's a subject matter expert that has something new to say.
I love that.
Perfect. Yep.
So, Mike, we've talked about so many changes, so much disruption happening in search. What is your one message to marketers? What do you want them to take away about, amid all this disruption? Should they be scared? Should they be okay? Like, what's your final message to marketers?
My final message to marketers is that we can't ignore that generative AI is here. Like that genie's out the bottle, right? But at the same time, we still need to figure out ways to make things that people actually want. Because if we get in this cycle of like synthetic content that learns from synthetic content, nothing is ever going to get better. We still need humans to be very involved here to create things that are actually valuable that people want. And so if you want to boil that down, really just keep making great content and everything's going to work out for you.
Amen. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. If people want to connect with you or learn more about iPullRank, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm at iPullRank on all the things. Also, iPullRank.com. You can reach out. And yeah, anyone who's like really curious about what's about to happen with SGE, feel free to come to our site and get a free threat report, because we just love doing that analysis. So, happy to help people out.
Yeah, they have some great content on there, great blog posts I think you just did about SG and all the things happening. So lots of great resources over there. So check Mike out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a great rest of your week.
Yeah.
All right, JK. We've talked about a lot of disruption, but another interesting search disruption could be, of course, we touched on it, ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, our friend Andy Crestodina shared about how one of the biggest changes that could be a shift away from using Google search to using AI apps. So take a look at this video, a little clip from it that he did he was searching for a guacamole recipe. So let's take a look.
If I want a guacamole recipe, I can use the Google app at the bottom down there, and I can, already a couple distractions, but let's keep going. Guacamole recipe, quite simple, right? Very basic query. Videos, images, shopping, lot of noise. These all kind of look the same. Which one should I choose? There's some questions and answers. How about this one? Great, land. CTA at the top, hamburger icon, share icons, videos loading. There's a sticky ad in the footer, some share buttons. I haven't even started reading this yet. Wait, where's the recipe? I think I passed it. Go up a little bit. Hold on, wait, call to action, wait, what? There's a pop-up? That was a very noisy experience. Let's break that down. We got a video ad, we got a sticky banner, we got a favorite this, we got share buttons, a pop-up, a CAPTCHA. There are literally 6 overlays on top of the little bit of information that I wanted. I saved this file and looked at it. Literally in that experience that you just watched, I downloaded to my device 17 CSS files, 72 JavaScript files, 14 marketing tracking codes, 43 images, video, almost 2,000 words, of which only 156 were the guacamole recipe. The total weight of what you just saw was 2 gigabytes transferred from a data center around the internet to my phone. Wow. Let's try that again. I'm going to use an AI app to get the same information. Scan over here, where is it? There's my ChatGPT app. Okay, let's type in, I guess you don't call it a query, this would be just a prompt. How to make guacamole. Look, it's a guacamole recipe. And in the end, how heavy was that file? How noisy was that experience? How private was my experience? All I got was a guac recipe. That's 120 meg. That was it. Compare. Wow, very different. Yeah, what's Google going to do? Big question. What are users going to do? That, I think, is the bigger question.
That was great. He posted that a few weeks ago and totally caught my attention. We'll drop the link to the full video in the comments. But is this something that you've done or experiment with, JK? I know it hasn't even crossed my mind until now.
No, I mean, call me a traditionalist, but I'm still Mr. Google. As a matter of fact, I was looking on how to put ink in my new printer, and I went to YouTube to figure it out. So yes, no, I haven't experienced using ChatGPT as a search engine, but I know that there's like a groundswell. And Andy just made a wonderful point about, the difference between the two. That video is great. So check it out if you get a chance. But there's definitely impact there to impact on search traffic. So we decided to chat with Andy about this video and a little bit more about this big uh-oh to SEO, being ChatGPT. And guess what? He's not worried. Believe it or not, I could not believe that he's not worried. So take a look at the video, take a look at this wonderful chat that we had with Andy, and we'll see you on the backside.
According to Gartner, by 2026, AI chatbots and virtual agents will cause traditional search engine traffic to drop by a whopping 25%. 25. But you say you're not worried. Why is that?
I think that shift that Gartner predicted, very blunt way to write a headline, but mostly the impact there will be for short information intent queries, which are moving to prompts. But for the real, investigation, commercial intent, this person wants to, consider a conference to go to, they're going to look at websites. So I don't think that part of the internet will be impacted. This screenshot shows another reason why I think that this isn't doomsday. A decline in search volume isn't the end of content discovery. For those of us that have been answering questions on their websites, AI will be sending you traffic. AI has links in it, those citations. This on the left is a screenshot from my Google Analytics showing traffic that my website has gotten from perplexity.ai. Now, getting traffic from AI apps is going to be a problem for measurement because it's going to be mostly direct traffic. Traffic from apps shows up as direct. But when it comes from a website and perplexity.ai, the website, it shows up as referral traffic. So this is one small part probably of much more traffic. But on the left, you can see AI will be a source of traffic to our websites because the visitor who sees that, the user who prompted, will want to see the source, or they're looking for something to cite, or they're trying to share an article with a friend, or they're going deeper into the topic. They will tap on that citation and go to a website. It may not be the same volume of search, but it will be some. And then I'm trying to answer the question also in the screenshot, like what kind of content should we publish? I'm a content strategist. What should we publish? We want AI to mention us. It looks to be kind of a lot of overlap between just the content that people tend to link to. Look, there's quite a bit of overlap there. So original research, long form content, detailed best practices, the things that have some more visuals involved with them, right? These AI, like Perplexity puts graphics in there. So those are probably going to be our go-to formats for continuing to have content that gets discovered. I personally don't care if the person comes from an AI app or comes from a Google search results page.
So how do content marketers prepare for that shift? How should they change their strategy, adapt their strategy?
Build a brand, be like a try to build a reputation as being a go-to resource on a topic. If that sounds like a huge lift, narrow the topic, it'll get easier. Niche down faster. The smaller your niche, the faster you can grow. Write for other people's websites, right? Be everywhere, be present, do digital PR. Jay Baer's got a great quote. He said, the problem isn't that AI can do what marketers do. The problem is that marketers keep doing what can be done by an AI. Let's do something that AI cannot do. Let me give you some examples. Take a stand, have beliefs, come out for and against something, because AI has no views. It has no opinions at all. Or collaborate with influencers, do what we're doing now, work with other people. You know why? Because AI has no friends. It can't do what we're doing right now. Record a video, explain your point of view, show your tone of voice and body language, and be real about it on a camera. AI can't do that because it has no face. People would say, oh, well, you can use 11 labs and combine it, mash together this thing. That's not a person. Your audience knows that. So I think it's very easy to differentiate content from AI, and people who have highly differentiated content, things that can't be done by AI, will have an even bigger advantage going forward.
Like, what do you think the most important thing for future-proofing your SEO content? Like, is that even possible?
I don't think it's possible because Google can't future-proof itself, right? Search itself is not future-proof. There's another great quote. It's called Amara's Law. There was like a Stanford computer scientist called Roy Amara who said, people overestimate the impact of technology in the short run and underestimate it in the long run. If Gartner's right, then the use of browsers will decline. Just think about that, right? You're not going to open a browser to get an answer. The way that people use the internet will change completely. You'll have a personal agent for your money, for your travel, for your health. You're going to talk to this thing. You're going to take it out and talk to your agent. You're going to love your personal agent because it knows all about you. And that's just how people are going to use the internet. So this is this kind of scary suggestion, but no, I don't think you can future-proof search because search itself isn't future-proof.
As we wrap up, just one thing, like everything that's happening in search and content discovery and everything, what's one thing you want marketers to know or maybe feel better about everything that's going on? What's sort of your last word about all of that?
Well, the foundational principle that we have all embraced in the content marketing community has not changed. I want us all to just take a deep breath and remind ourselves that our audiences need our help. You can be a helpful, useful internet citizen. That intermediary, that channel, maybe it's been Google for you for a while, maybe it's been social or email or other channels. That may change, but what doesn't change is the connection that people make with each other when they help each other with information, with advice, with insights, with perspective, point of view, opinion, research, whatever you're doing, it's important, the work that we do, because our audiences and our prospects still need expert points of view, and that's what we're here for.
Love, love, love that ending remark from Andy there. A great reminder for us all.
Absolutely. How great was that?
It was so good. And we chatted with Andy about so much more. I mean, going back to the guacamole recipe, we talked in the full interview that like maybe this will prompt people to actually, clean up their mobile experience for people, because like that mobile experience was ridiculous. But I cook a lot. I use recipes, and it's such a frustrating experience on a mobile device. So yeah, so maybe some good things will happen out of all of this change. But I also love,
especially trying to scroll with flour covered fingers. I always, you know, like when I'm baking and trying a new recipe, I'm like, well, maybe I should have printed this off.
yes, I'm always, or my screen goes dark in between. I'm like trying to like
for sure
figure it out, and then a video pops up, and then I have to X out. So yes, but we had such a great conversation. So we'll drop the link to his full interview in the comments as well. And if that wasn't enough, Andy, for you, then don't miss out on our Master This digital event going on at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Andy will be talking about the simple but strategic approach to SEO. We also have Zach Kaddish with Conductor. He will talk about handling a decline in website traffic, strategies for recovery. So you can register for that event at the link there, or we will also drop that into the comments as well. That looks like a great event if you want even more as well. So we are just about wrapped here. I again apologize, for some reason my comments are not popping up on the platform here. So I've been trying to read them here to the side, so I couldn't pop them up on the screen as we normally like to do. But we have other non-SEO things going on at CMI as well, JK, right?
Oh boy, howdy. I am so excited to say that our Content Marketing World registration is officially open. Now's the time to get the best prices for the conference. We want to see you in sunny, beautiful San Diego this year. And speaking of Content Marketing World, we're looking for top-notch speakers to take the stage this year. And if you're interested in speaking, check out this link and to see all the info on how to submit a speaking proposal. The deadline is coming up on April 1st, so you have less than 2 weeks. So let's get it. We'd love to see you on the stage and come out and enjoy some time on the West Coast with us this year.
Yeah, so we're always looking for new voices, fresh faces. So please check that out if you're interested in speaking. And if getting special training or certification in content marketing was on your to-do list for 2024, then now's the time to take advantage of a special offer we have for CMI University. This month, we're offering a March Madness discount, 20% off your enrollment to our certification program with the American Marketing Association. You can become a certified content marketer. And finally, we're now accepting entries for the 2024 Content Marketing Awards. If you created a content marketing masterpiece over the past year, you should be celebrated for all your hard work. So head over to the contentmarketingawards.com to check out all the categories and submit your entry. So, boy, that was a lot of information today, JK.
It was. I need a nap.
I definitely need a nap after that. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. We will be back next month in just a few weeks chatting about an all new topic. And this one is also, JK and I are experts on this, analytics. So if you have a specific question or something about analytics or data that you want to learn more about, drop it in the comments or feel free to message me directly so we can make sure that we tackle all the topics that you are interested in. So I believe that's it, JK.
Yeah. Signing off. Thank you all so much. Thank you to our guests, Andy and Mike. They did fantastic today. Really eye-opening. And like you said, Amanda, it's so much to take in, so much. There's like a sea change coming for SEO. But I do feel a little comforted by, there's so many experts out there that are going to kind of guide us through it. So kudos to them.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Have a good week. See ya.